Well, we have breaking news coming in at the moment, an update regarding the big story we're tracking. The Competition Commission of India has fined Meta, and the Meta's response has actually come in on the CCI penalty at the moment. Meta has said that they completely disagree with CCI's latest decision of slapping this 213 crore rupee fine. Meta has also planned to appeal against the CCI order, and CCI, as I mentioned, has fined Meta 213 crore rupees. This is regarding a WhatsApp policy update back in 2021. The Competition Commission of India had imposed a penalty of 213.14 crore rupees on Meta for abusing its dominant position. This actually relates to how WhatsApp's 2021 privacy policy was implemented and how user data was collected and shared with other Meta companies. The Commission also issued cease and desist directions and also directed Meta and WhatsApp to implement certain behavioral remedies within a defined timeline. But in this matter, the Commission delineated two relevant markets: the market for OTT messaging apps through smartphones in India and the market for online display advertising in India. Further, Meta Group, operating through WhatsApp, was found to be dominant in the market for OTT messaging apps through smartphones in India. But furthermore, it was also found that Meta holds a leading position compared to its competitors in the online display advertising in India. Sunil Prabhu has the lowdown for you.
This dates back to 2021 when, WhatsApp had changed its privacy policy and that made it across the board. You had to take it or leave it kind of approach in India. Whereas, for example, in the Europe and various other foreign countries, that option wasn't there because of the strong privacy laws. So they couldn't make it, a consumer or somebody who was using WhatsApp had an option of leaving it in mass or whatever as it happened at that stage. But in the case of India, it was take it or leave it approach. And it's on that basis that Meta was able to share the details across its various channels, from WhatsApp to various other people. That data was given. And CCI, which is the Competition Commission of India, has fined Meta for that because they felt that this was an unfair practice, because across other spectrums, be it in other, be Facebook or various other networks that Meta has, it had become extremely difficult for others to make an entry, and felt that is an unfair practice. And it's on that basis that they have fined Meta 213 crores. We'll have to wait and see how Meta responds to this, whether it challenges this decision. This, of course, is because there is already a huge demand which is still pending before the Supreme Court on a constitutional question about privacy and across the board, whether people can use data laws as they are doing in the flagrant manner that they have done. Because clearly India needs to step up, just like it has done in Europe, and ensure that there is a level playing field.
Well, as Sunil Prabhu is reporting, the Competition Commission of India has concluded that the 2021 policy update by WhatsApp on a take-it-or-leave-it basis constitutes an imposition of unfair condition under the Competition Act, as it compels all users to accept expanded data collection terms and the sharing of data within Meta Group without any option to opt out. Well, to understand the larger ramifications, we have with us Khushbu Jain, who's an expert in the field of cybersecurity as well as financial crimes involving technologies. She's also a practicing advocate before the Supreme Court too. Khushbu, how significant would you say this penalty is in the context of Meta's large-scale operations in India?
It is significant to an extent that it clearly puts across the message from our country that one, despite being a giant or a tech giant in their own stream, cannot dominate the position or cannot abuse the power that they enjoy just because they are prominent or dominant in the world. So that practically puts in a precedent that we do have a watchdog in India who's looking into consumer, who's looking into the fair competition, who's safeguarding users, citizens like you and me, who are subject to these kind of abuse at the receiving end, at the last. So that's where I think it plays a very crucial role, and it also sets a precedent for others wherein these kind of things come in. One has to also see in that this is in line with how India is progressing towards having our own data privacy laws, that is Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023. At the same time, the 2021 guidelines, the intermediary rules that came under the IT Act of 2000. Along with this, the aspect, whereas we have our Competition Act, which clearly talks about anti-competitive nature, abuse of dominant position, abuse of power, aspect of fair distribution of services and market in that manner. So if you look into all these guidelines and rules are the one which are working towards people, working towards how to safeguard people so that do not come under the gambit of uh, 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 companies which can do or ask and say whatever they have to do. If you'll see, even in 2021, when you saw WhatsApp bringing in policy, all of us, despite irrespective of our age group, irrespective of gender, were on WhatsApp. And WhatsApp was the one to talk about that this is end-to-end encryption and we do not share the data. So that's where the trust came in, and they got that trust of people that WhatsApp is absolutely end-to-end encryption. They do not read the data or the messages which you put it across. They do not utilize it for any purpose. And all of a sudden in 2021, the policy changed, speaking about the aspect that no, now we share our data with our sister concerns and others for our own personal benefits. I think that's where CCI has stepped in, that you cannot arbitrarily, unilaterally at middle change a policy like that, and also this leading to a situation where you have a dominant position.
So then what does the CCI's directive that Meta must cease and desist from anti-competitive practices actually mean for the company's future operations in the country?
See, when you talk about smooth operation, that becomes an aspect that you cannot have an aspect where, as of now, that you can share that data because you're being in a dominant position, including WhatsApp being owned by Meta. They would share the data with other Meta companies such as Facebook, Instagram, and others. That's where the fair play comes in place, and they're talking about that this cannot happen, and you need to stop sharing that data. And if that is happening, that has to be for everybody and anybody, so that tomorrow that because of that abuse of dominance, monopolistic situation do not come, which is due to abuse. And that's where they're talking about that you need to stop right now, that you do not have any aspect of sharing the data with your sister concerns, and take those things, and all future policy and update need to comply with those guidelines. So they have specifically asked to review and modify their choice with respect to such kind of sharing of data with a prominent tab in the settings of WhatsApp. This should be available to us. And also, they have to clearly put in all future policies update in complying with these kind of requirements. So that's where the direction that CCI has put in, which in a way will hamper their business, because data is something which is very important, and we are learning that data plays a very crucial role nowadays. All these platforms utilize advertisements. They share the data with their customers, and that's where their earning comes in. Nothing is free on the internet world. We utilize Facebook, we utilize WhatsApp for free.
In fact, Meta's also just responded to the CCI penalty and said that they disagree with the CCI decision and that they will appeal against the CCI order. But considering WhatsApp's dominant position in the Indian market, do you think any potential implications will apply for users who continue to use WhatsApp under this new privacy policy?
If you look into whether it can or not, it's a country's law. There is a decision by the court. They have to abide with that law. Whether they exist or they do not exist is dependent on whether you want to comply with the law. It cannot be that, oh, it's not complying with my business interest, so I would not want to comply with it, and the users will be at the receiving end. No, I don't think so that would have any impact. Rather, their change in the policy was the one which was having an impact on the user, because without even understanding, internet brings close to all of us, but at the same time, there's an opaqueness when it talk about internet, and that opaqueness without any accountability was where WhatsApp or other companies are taking benefit of. And that's where we are having these kind of orders which say that bring in that accountability, bring in that transparency for the user, so that they understand that what they are doing on their internet and how their data has been utilized. They have a right to understand what exactly kind of sharing model is when it comes to data. And that's where it has been coming in. Impact wise, I think Meta will be more impacted. Users would not be much impacted, because India is one of the top 2 largest country in the world when it comes to generation of data. And we are living in the age of AI. They cannot leave the market like India.
Well, we are yet to see potential long-term consequences for Meta, especially in terms of its reputation and user base in India following this ruling. Thank you so much, though, Khushbu, for making time for us on NDTV.